The Bosstiary got added in the summer update 2022, and since then, a lot of people have been grinding bosses, myself included. So in this video, I want to talk about some things of the Bosstiary that you might not understand. But first of all, let's address the thumbnail of the video, the hashtag not worth part. The Bosstiary came with one unlocked slot, where you can select any of the bosses you have killed to add an extra percentage of loot equipment. But it also comes with one free roll every day that allows you to select another boss, hence you were able to have the extra loot on your preferred two bosses. More rolls after that will cost money. However, from the start, you're also given a secondary boss slot that is locked. In order to get that second slot, you need to get 1500 boss points. During my explanation of the summer update, I said that will be the goal for most people, since that will make it so that you can do 4 bosses with increased loot every day. Turns out that's not how it works, and that's the problem. As it is right now, the free removal of a boss from a slot that you get every day will get consumed the moment of use, regardless of which slot you do it from. So even after unlocking the second slot, you will only be able to select 3 bosses per day free of cost. But that wasn't explicit anywhere, and most people, including myself, had assumed it would be separate rolls per slots, because there is precedent to that. In both the praise and charm systems, each of them acts separately. So because of that assumption of being able to roll 2 extra bosses on the second slot, a lot of people have been grinding the bosses since the update due to false advertising. And in case you're thinking that it could be a bug, well, it has been confirmed by the CMs as being intended. Unfortunately, not many people check the forums, and a lot of players still haven't unlocked the second slot to find it out themselves, and I regretted it a bit myself after unlocking the second slot. But that doesn't mean there isn't a reward for increasing your boss points. Getting more points translates to increasing the chance of equipment loot from the bosses, but there is also a few things that need to be addressed here. First, equipment loot only covers items that can be put in any of the slots in your equipment window. That covers the majority of rare drops from bosses, but leaves out things like creature products, gems, tokens, and gold, which is what for most bosses gives actual profit, since the chances of the rare items are already very low, some under the 1%, and the higher percentage you get from increasing your boss points doesn't translate directly to more loot. The way it works is just like the loot praise. If you have a 50% increase, it means you have a 50% chance of having killed another boss in that role. So let's take this example with room. By adding it to the boss slot, it gives me a chance of rolling a second room loot in the same body. So in this scenario, I got 2 Terra Mantles, when normally it wouldn't be possible, since most creatures don't drop the same item twice in the same drop. But the overall chances of looting a rare are roughly the same, because what you're doing is just increasing your number of kills at a time, rather than increasing the odds of the item itself, which is not a big problem with the praise, since those do include all sorts of drops, and most of the profit from using a lot prey comes from the more common drops. But if you were to use it to only loot a very rare item, like a Shield of Corrosion for Lizard Abominations, you wouldn't see much difference from it, and this is very misleading, since most people I see farming bosses haven't realized that. But it's also partly why I don't feel the Bosstiary is broken or going to add an inflation of items by itself. In the end, most of the items will come from the increase of people doing bosses in general, and not so much the extra increase individually per player. Which is why I was so disappointed at the fact that we are not getting the extra roll on the second slot, since getting it is already a bit of a grind. Lastly, on the topic of grind, it's also not time efficient nor recommended to do all bosses, which once again I see a lot of people doing. The increase of percentage on the loot equipment from getting boss points has diminishing returns. The way that works is that every few extra percentages will require more boss points to unlock, so at 1500 boss points you're getting 106% of bonus instead of the 150% you will get if it were 10 to 1 constantly. Because of this, at some point it becomes too much of a grind to increase. I've been told that around the 1800 points it starts to take around 50 points for 1% increase, so getting to 200 bonus loot could be around 5 to 7k boss points. But honestly, I'm just guessing because I'm bad with maths, and the increasement of points per percentage is not shown until you get to that range. I know that from 1.5 to 1.6 I only got 2 bonus percent increase, and if I were to complete most of the boss entries I did to get to 1500 for the second slot, I would barely double my bonus to over 150%. And at that point, the grind for points is just too high. With that said, I think the sweet spot still is to get to 1500 points for the second slot and for a guaranteed extra boss drop per kill. Hopefully they change the fact that you can only get 3 free bosses per day to make it better, but for now that is a good place to stay and continue to farm the bosses that you care about, because once a boss is fully discovered, when you add it to the slot, it comes with an extra 25% bonus, which is not much, but by then, if you are at around 130%, it will make it more likely to roll the extra bonus for 3 boss skills in one. That's all I got for this video. If you are still interested in getting to 1500 points or learning some tips about the Bosstiary, my next video will cover how I got mine in 20 days, so consider subscribing to not miss the video. Thank you for watching, and a special thanks to Tuna Hero, Torta Slasher and Night Star.